Today we will be talking about some strategies for division. But first, we need to make sure we understand all our division vocabulary, namely the words dividend, divisor, and quotient. So in a division equation, you will always have a dividend, a divisor, and a quotient. The dividend is the number being divided. So if we look at this first one, 42 divided by 7 equals 6. 42 is our dividend. The divisor is the number you're dividing by. So in this equation, 7 is our divisor. And the quotient is the answer to a division problem. Just like you know what the answer to a multiplication problem is called? That's a product. Do you know what the answer to an addition is called? That's a sum. How about subtraction? That's a difference. But in division, we call it the quotient. Here, 6 would be our quotient. And I'm going to teach you a very catchy song. I suspect this might get stuck in your head all day long. It is to the tune of Mary Had a Little Lamb, and it'll help us remember this vocabulary. Okay, here it goes. I'm going to sing it once, and then the second time through, I want you to join in with me, even if you feel silly singing in your living room or bedroom, wherever you are. I similarly feel silly singing in my kitchen, but it's helping us improve our math and have some fun. Here it goes. The dividend gets divided, divided, divided. The dividend gets divided in the equation. It comes first. Divide it by the divisor, 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 divided by the divisor, and then you get the quotient. You can't see me, but I was doing jazz hands for quotient. Okay, all together now. The dividend gets divided, divided, divided. The dividend gets divided in the equation. It comes first. Divided by the divisor, 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 divided by the divisor, and then you get the quotient with your jazz hands. Beautiful. Okay, so now you're ready to do the rest of these equations. The formatting looks a little differently. It looks a little different in each one, but I want you to see if you can recognize the dividend, divisor, and the quotient. Play back the video when you're ready, when you've quizzed yourself and you're ready to see the answer. Okay, so for this first one, we still have the same. 42 is our dividend, 7 is our divisor, and notice they're just put in the numerator and denominator because as we've said all along, when you are using fractions, you're dividing into equal parts. So then our quotient is 6. So you might have thought 42 is the numerator. You're right, but it's also the dividend. Okay, and then this is box multiplication down here. So the dividend goes inside the box. Then you have the divisor right on the outside. And finally, our quotient, which is the answer written above the box. And this one only got a slightly different, that now our dividend changed to 43. So with our quotient, we have a remainder. And that's because 7 goes into 43 6 times, right? That was 42. But then, once you did that, you still had 1 left over. So we have that remainder 1. Another way of thinking of this might be if you thought of this as a fraction, right? 43 sevenths. You'd know that that was equal to 6 wholes and 1/7 left over, right? We practiced that, converting improper fractions into mixed numbers. And it's the same idea here. You just have that 1 left over. Okay, so now let's talk more strategies for division. So here is your number story. Mrs. Carlucci is getting ready for chapel. This was before COVID safety regulations, so we were all sitting in the chapel together, and she wants to put an equal number of students in each row. There are 78 students who will sit in 6 rows. How many students will be in each row? So think of your division equation with unknown. Pause the video if you need some time to think about that. Oh, and I should have underlined my question. How many students will be in each row? To figure that out, we're taking the 78 students, dividing them into 6 rows, and we want our unknown, question mark, or you could have done S for students. So another way of thinking of this is how many groups of 6 will make 78? Or how many times does 6 go into 78? So of course, we're going to use multiples of 6 to help us. And it's best to pick easy ones. Another way to think of this is like you're trying to get close to the target without going over, like a game of hit the target, right? So if I think, okay, well, 10 sixes, 6 times 10, you know that one, right? That's 60. But then we'd still have 18 students left over. And that's not quite enough. Okay, so let's say we had another group of 6. 11 sixes is 66. Closer, still not enough. Let's add 6 more to that, right? Because I'm doing another group of 6. So I believe that brings me to 72. Oh, wow, I'm so close. 12 times 6 is 72, but I want to get to 78 because there are 78 students. And if I did 13 groups of 6, then there'd be 78 students. So we hit the target and we didn't go over. So we know our answer is what? 13 students. And here's a shortcut way to show it with the box division. I could have put my dividend, 78, under the box, and my divisor is 6. And I'm saying how many times does 6 go into 78? And you still would have to, or actually I could even break this down even more, and you're going to practice this a lot with as the weeks go on. But there's this, it's a shortcut, but it's known as long division, which is kind of funny. And we could say how many times does 6 go into 7? If it's 6, and we know that goes in 1 time. But that still left us with 1 left over, right? 1 group of 10s. We bring down this 8 from the 1's place, and we say how many times does 6 go into 18? And you know that's 3. Again, this shortcut way, known as long division, is something that if you haven't learned already, we're going to practice a lot in the days and weeks ahead. Today, we'll keep using those multiples, though. Let's do another one. Oh, yay. Now we're going to have a remainder. Mrs. George is uploading photos from the school year. She has 66 photos and can only upload them 4 at a time. How many groups of photos will she upload? So underline our question. How many groups of photos will she upload? What would your division equation with unknown be? Pause if you need to think about it. And I know I'm going to take 66 photos divided by 4 photos each time equals G for groups maybe. So we can think how many groups of 4 will it take to make 66? Or how many times does 4 go into 66 is another way of thinking about it. And we'll use our multiples of 4, pick easy ones, right? So I'm going to start with 10 groups of 4. I know that's 40, but oof, that's not even close, right? I'm trying to get up to 66. 40 is not even close. So now maybe I'll think, okay, 15 groups of 4. Well, I know 10 groups of 4 was 40, and I know 5 groups of 4, or 5 times 4, is what? 5 times 4 is 20. So now if I jumped up here to 15, I'd know that was 40 plus 20 more, 60. You could have also written that out as, 15 times 4 and done your traditional multiplication to get it that way. Okay? So now I'm getting way closer. So I'm going to say, okay, one more group of 4 would be 64. Woo, that's really close. If I did an extra group of 4, I'm at 68. I'm too far over. So we can't do it. So then, so we know that I'm going to have 16 groups with how many photos left over. Let's use our shortcut notation to show that. And I'm going to kind of skip the long division here and just jump right to, we'll still do our box division, put our divisor, and then I'm just going to say we realize that 4 goes into 66 16 times, right? And that was 64. So how many photos would be left over? 2. Good. So if we still had 2 photos left over, what am I going to do? Just throw away those two photos? Put them into the trash can on my desktop? That'd be so sad. If you were in the photo, that'd be really a bummer. No, so I need, when I have that remainder of 2, in this case, how many groups of photos will I need to upload? Well, I actually will need 17 groups, right? Because I'm not just going to throw away those 2 photos. Even though it's kind of different, the last group will only have 2 in it, I'm still going to take the time to do that. And again, we'll talk about interpreting remainders as the weeks and days go on of your division education. Okay, last but not least, let's look at the math journal page just so you feel comfortable with that. And we're specifically going to do problem number 3 together because it has, I'm going to warn you, it has a remainder. So I want to show you how to deal with that. Oh, hey, this is very similar to the one we just did. Jeremy bought 130 songs to add to a playlist. He can put 8 songs in the playlist at a time. How many groups of songs does he need to put in the playlist? So I'll underline my question. I'm going to have you pause and do the number model with unknown. And you should have got 130 songs divided by 8 equals question mark. And now I actually made a mistake that I didn't. RTD stands for read the directions. So let's look back at the top. It says solve, fill in the list of multiples if they help you. So that's actually a big hint. This is one time where you don't have to fill in every blank in your math journal. You're going to use the ones that help you most. So I might start with 10 eighths. 8 times 10 is 80. That was really easy to work with. But wait a second. 80 is not even close to the 130 that I need. So I'm going to jump ahead. I might then think, okay, I know that 5 eighths, 5 times 8 is 40. So 15 would be 80 plus 40, right? The 10, 8 times 10, 8 times 5, and I'd get 120. So 15 eighths is 120. I'm getting closer to my target, but not quite. So that means 16 eighths is 128, and 17 eighths is, what are we at then? 8 more, 136, right? Plus 8. Yeah. Okay, so that would be too many. 17 would be too many. So, but this is the same idea, right? So let's actually do our number model with answer first. I would write that 130 divided by 8 is equal to 16 groups of 8 with a remainder of, that was 128, we need to get up to 130, so remainder of 2 songs left over. But so my answer, how many groups of songs would he need? Well, what's he going to do with those 2 songs? Just delete them? What if it's his favorite song in the world? Think of your favorite song. What if it's that one? You don't want to lose it. So he'd actually need to work with 17 groups of songs. So this was one strategy for division, just to get your head wrapped around the concept of division, thinking about how many groups go into the dividend. And we will practice several more strategies, including that shortcut way I previewed with you,